Hello guys and welcome back on my channel. Today I want to show you an easy guide on how to win the Second World War as Germany in Hearts of Iron 4. I want to make it beginner friendly, so if you're a no player you can follow and use it hopefully to your advantage. And also I have all DLC enabled except the newest one, Arms Against Tyranny. So let's head right into the research at first. Regarding your navy, you only want to build submarines for all of the game, because you will see submarines are enough to destroy the British Navy, or if not destroy, to disorganize them enough to land on the main isles. Regarding your submarines, you only need to research the hull. Very important are the snorkel 1 and 2 for visibility. And also in the torpedo section, you want to get your bony for torpedo attack. So this one, and this one. And of course everything else you can grab on the way as well, like these passive buffs for your main fleet. Now onto the air. You want to research the small airframe all the way, everything else is unimportant. Then you want survivability studies for air defense, for your self-sealing fuel tanks. You want the heavy machine guns. You want extra fuel tanks for the more range. It's very nice to have, and you want to rush always the best possible engine, maybe even a little ahead of time. Now everything else is pretty basic. You want your artillery researched. Very important is this tag, the new artillery model for your medium howitzer, because this is the cannon we want to use on the tanks. Regarding the tanks, you just wanna wash the medium tank build. You can take these as well. At least the first and second steps are very important. For your support companies, very important is logistics company. It just flat out reduces the supply usage of your troops, and that's very helpful because less supply means more troops on the front that are supported. Engineers are good too. Recon company as well. Field hospital you don't really need for Germany. You always want your infantry equipment to be up to date. You also want mechanized infantry at some point. I think it's 1939 you can easily research the first one, because we want to use it in the tank division. And everything else you always want to keep your industry up to date as well. Regarding your army design, you just want 2 divisions for winning the Second World War. You just need 2 divisions. First off, you need a basic infantry division that will hold the line, something like this, with support anti-air, support artillery, engineer company, and also I would put on logistics company on these as well. It's pretty costly, but it helps you a lot. The second division you need for winning the war is your tank division. You want as much support equipment as possible, as much bony on this division. You want it to be an elite division, and you want it to look something like this, with evenly distributed tank and mobile infantry battalions. So in this case I already have mechanized, it's 1944, but when you start you want to use trucks, you want to use mobile infantry, and later on you can step by step upgrade to mechanized. These divisions you will use for breaking the line and making encirclements. The infantry is just there to hold the line and defend. Now next on to the Luftwaffe. You always want the up-to-date airframe as well as the engine, and then you would just wanna give it the most attack you can. 3 light machine guns on this one, Heavy machine guns would be better. You can research that as well. The best engine I got, always 1, 2 are just too expensive. Some air defense, some armor plates, and as well, if I had researched it, the range buff. For your CAS, just use the newest engine and your CAS weapons. Regarding the fleet, you just want to build submarines, as you can see in my queue. And for submarines, it's important that you use all your torpedo slots with the best torpedo weapon you got. That you use the snorkel as soon as you got it. And the best engine you got. Just pump out as much submarines as you can of this type, and it will serve you very well. Regarding the actual build-up for the start of the war, first off, spies. You want to create your agency and you want to make collaboration governments in France and Russia. 2 in both of them, so you get the free puppet after the war, and when you annex them you basically get all of the stuff, or at least most of it. So start your agency. After that do 5 upgrades so you get the second spy, and then as soon as you can start your first collaboration government in France, and after that the second one. You will have enough time to do 2 before the war starts, and after that you have enough time for 2 in Russia. Now, regarding your civilian factory use, you want to start the game building infrastructure in this province or this one, it doesn't really matter. Then start building civilian factories in whatever state you chose. So the last infrastructure level for 100% building bonus, and then civilian factories. After that, infrastructure here, civilian factories, and just do that in every state that has a lot of free slots and you only need 1 more upgrade. So for example Franken and civilian factories. You do not want to build in Sachsen, Thüringen, Brandenburg or Hanover, because you get a free infrastructure upgrade to the highest level in these provinces from your focus Reichsautobahn. So just build civilian factories until about 1938. Then you want to start building some synthetic refineries just for the rubber. You will need it for your airplane production as well as your mobile infantry and mechanized infantry. You can start off with maybe like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something in this range, and after that you want to start building military factories everywhere to the maximum. Maybe the exception is the northern part, because you want in these provinces to build some dockyards for your submarine production. So I would say the turning point is start of 38, then you can start building military factories after your refineries. And next on to your advisors. At some point you want everything over here in the bottom row filled up. Also this one too, and of course these slots you also want to fill. You do not need to switch to war economy. Again, this is a focus in your focus tree that does that for free. You can wait some time to switch to extensive construction. You start with enough manpower for the moment. For your chief of army, just take the army offensive one. It's in my opinion the best one. Chief of navy, you got Karl Dönitz. He is great for our purposes. He gives you convoy raiding efficiency 20%. Now for the chief of air force, just get Hermann Göring or maybe Ritter von Greim. I don't know if air superiority is really a good stat to have, I'm not sure. This one sounds even better, but you need to complete the focus. So for the moment, just go with him for the air experience gain. But he can also wait for later into the game. Before the war starts, you best case scenario want Rommel for your armor, attack and defense. You can also go or want to go with the infantry expert for infantry defense. That's important. At the last one, you can choose whatever you like, but really the last sword doesn't really matter. At the top, you want to start as soon as you can with Captain of Industry, Halmar Schacht. You need to complete the first industrial focus, then you can get them for half the cost. Later in 38, when you switch to building military factories, also Walter Funk, again for the same bonus, just with mills. Also later on you maybe want to go with Elusive Gentleman, because sometimes one of your two agents gets captured and then you can't do collaboration governments. So a third one is pretty good in this scenario. You also want to go for Messerschmitt as soon as you can when the war starts, because the agility and max speed is really good in air combat for your planes. You can go with Blom and Voss for the sub visibility again. And your tank designer, I always go with this one, soft attack reliability. You can also go with Henschel, whatever you like the most. Doesn't really matter. The important bonus is 50% research speed for all three of them, or all five of them. Now for the theorist, just go with Mobile Warfare, Expert, or even Blitzkrieg Theorist if you have the 50 more political power. Now for your focus tree, you want to start with Rhineland for the political power, and then you can just go down your industrial Foci for the 12 civilian factories you get in these two focuses. It's really great to boost your economy at the start of the game and just get things rolling. Later you can also go for Reichsautobahn in German war economy, maybe even before 38, so you can start producing a bit more infantry equipment and planes without really switching your economy to building military factories. Also, if you want to, you can rush Anschluss, it's pretty easy. Just start producing a lot of infantry equipment or only infantry equipment and pump out divisions. Then you can get Anschluss pretty early, like mid 37, something like this. You can do the same with Fate of Czechoslovakia. These two give you the most factories in the tree, but I would say always start with these two, and then if you want to really rush your economy, go with them. What you want to get before 1939 overall are these Foci over here, so to the extra research slot. These ones are really good as well. So all of your industry, you want to go with army innovations and treaty with the USSR, so you can research the better medium tank. And of course Anschluss, Czechoslovakia and so on. And then it's 1939 and you want to do Danziger War. Later on you can also go for naval rearmament and U-boat effort. This gives you a boost for a submarine model, so you can start producing the 1940 model or even 44 model pretty early on. But in most cases you want to stick with the 1940 model and just put on the 1944 engine and better torpedo slots, because the 1944 model itself doesn't improve your submarines a lot and you need more and different resources to produce it. So overall, going down this tree is advisable as well, and everything else after the war started you can grab as you want accordingly to your needs. So as we said, research your submarines, your planes, your industry and your infantry stuff, whatever you need. And do your Foci accordingly until 1939, somewhere at the end. Then you have enough time to build up your economy and as well your military production. Then you can start declaring war 1939 on Poland, which isn't really rocket science to defeat them. Then you can go through the Ardennes into France. You can also do the First World War strategy and go through Belgium and Netherlands with your tanks, both works. It's also again not very hard to do this. After that you also want to go after Yugoslavia and Greece, because you never know if they maybe sometime later down the road join the Allies. For historical immersion you can also go after Denmark and Norway, of course. And as soon as the war starts, you can start sending your first submarines into these Atlantic regions. Now the submarine ones do not have the range, and also they are stationed here. Later when you defeated France you can put them in Bordeaux or Brest, and then they have the range to actually raid African coast, Central Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic. So all these sea tiles where the Brits can't bomb you with their naval bombers, and also do not have the highest fleet presence, or most of their fleet present like in these tiles. But more important is the absence of naval bombers, because they can pretty easily kill your submarines. Now if you put them all the way from one end of the map, you could say, to the other, so from African coast to Labrador Sea, for example, or this way to the Denmark Strait, the Brits can't actually import stuff without your submarines raiding their trade convoys. And if you put your submarines, what I would always advise you to do, in packs of 5 to 10 per pack, they can't really get to your submarines and defeat them. Your submarines will just kill so many transports and convoys of the Allies, not only the Brits but also the Canadians and the French, that it becomes really costly for them to continue the war. They will run out of convoys, they will send some parts of their fleet to defend the convoys, for example one battleship or one carrier and some destroyers, and if you're lucky you at some point also start to sink their ships, so you will start to sink their destroyers and later on even their main battle fleet. Now for your Operation Barbarossa, you really only care about one thing, and that is your tanks. Your infantry is just there to hold the line and maybe later on exploit gaps as well in the front line. Now regarding your tanks, their only job is to make encirclements. So you make an encirclement with your tanks from two sides. Maybe you attack over here from Minsk and also from Proskuriv, and they meet in Gomel. For the start of the war this would be a pretty big encirclement, because on the way the Russians will have enough divisions to defend all the way up to Gomel, so it would be pretty hard to do this right at the start of the war. Later on you can do encirclements this big, but for the start a smaller one, maybe from Minsk and over here, and you try to meet in Vitebsk, and then your infantry can clean up the encirclement. As said before, you want two collaboration governments, then it becomes really easy to capitulate. Then you do not even need Stalingrad or Leningrad, if I remember right, to capitulate them when you got the two collaboration governments. Now, while your tanks are busy making encirclements and breaking through the Russian line, you can also use your fighters and cars to support them. And also do not forget to defend your west coast, maybe even Italy, maybe even the regions in the Mediterranean, Greece and Yugoslavia, with some infantry, so the Allies can just naval invade while you are still with your whole army in Russia and can't react properly. I would say for the West Front, 2 armies is a good amount. For Operation Barbarossa, 5 armies are enough, so 1 army group with infantry should be enough to defend the line, hold the line. And then you want as many tank divisions as you can get your hands on. So for example 20, 24, so 1 tank army would be a good amount to start with and should be enough to actually defeat the Soviet Union. This was my Germany guide. I hope it was easy to understand. I hope I could help someone If you have any questions regarding the things I talked about, or even other Hearts of Iron questions, or if you have any criticism about my advice and my guide, feel free to leave a comment. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you on the next one.